Ashe, and grand rising a grand day to you all my fellow humans. And welcome once again to this, the fourth in the series of another perspective on healthy living with your senior lifestyle advisor plus. Yes, it's I, the Mystic Philosopher. Now, if you have not yet watched or listened to all of my previous 3 episodes, and in consecutive order I might add, I hereby recommend that you please do so now before watching this episode 4. By doing so, I'm confident that you will get a much better understanding and overstanding of what this series of short presentation and what I, the Mystic Philosopher, perceive to be healthy living is all about. All previous presentations are designed to set the basic foundation for me to build on. So I am just laying the foundation for that which is to come. I can almost guarantee you as well that some of you will hear some things that you have never heard before, or that you have never heard said like the way I say them before. Some of you might hear things that you might have thought of, but have never said them yourself. The thought come to you, but you didn't say it. Some of you will also find some, if not all, of my perspectives contrary to what you already believe and possible to what you already know. Some of you might find them interesting. Some of you might find some of my perspectives interesting. Some of you might even be offended by them. And at the very least, some of you might even find them thought-provoking, which is something I love to do. I like to provoke people to think or into thinking. And also, please let me remind you, if I have not already done so, that my objective is not to in any way con you. It's not to convince you or to convert you or to have you change your point of view, also known as your individual beliefs. It's not to have you change your individual beliefs or your perspectives. I am most definitely not a con. I am just using this media platform, while I am privileged to do so because all this will be taken away from us soon, to share with you some of my perspectives, some of my personal point of view from my angle of observation, the way that I interpret things, that which I see and hear, and that which I think I know. So please, I ask that you bear with me. With that understanding, you please bear with me. Now, some of you might have noticed with interest and curiosity in all 3 previous episodes that the phrase bad mind has been used repeatedly, and that I have described bad mind as a very dangerous, potentially infectious and contagious mind disease, and one that I know has made and is still making a lot of us humans really unhealthy, sick, and unhappy. From my perspective, a bad mind person, also known as a contaminated and corrupt-minded person, is one of, if not the most unhealthy, the most mischievous, malicious, dangerous, and unhappy human that is alive. To put this fact another way is to say that a bad mind human, and especially a chronically corrupted and contaminated minded human is a very restless, ruthless, and tormented soul. The way of peace, bad mind people know not, and nor can they know peace. With respect to living naturally, and please note, not with respect to living normally or artificially, but naturally, he or she, yes, the bad-minded person, can also be perceived as being both destructive and a self-destructive person. And for your information, bad mind, as I have described it earlier, is not a disease, or even more correctly, bad mind is not an evil that is relegated and confined only to a section of our humanity or of our human society, or only to the so-called poor and ignoble people and peasants of the world. Colloquially speaking, when we in Jamaica and elsewhere in the Caribbean use the phrase bad mind, think of bad mind, and talk about bad mind, we are often thinking of and talking about someone that is known to be covetous, someone that is known to be grudgeful, someone that is resentful of the good fortune or resentful of the success of others. When we talk about bad mind, yes, we're thinking of someone that is wishing for other people that they may perceive as being successful. They start wishing for their ruin, for them to be ruined, for their downfall, for their failure, and even sometimes they wish for their literal death, just because of their success or the opportunity that they might get that could reward them with success, etc. That is how most of us Caribbean people generally think of bad mind. However, this is not relegated and confined to the so-called little people alone. Bad mind is not confined to the so-called little people alone. Yeah. But by the end of this series of talks, and if you have not yet done so, some of you, my listeners, my truth seekers and independent-minded thinkers, may discover that some of the most so-called rich, some of the most famous, powerful, and influential people of the world, people that we may be looking up to, and some of us are even forced by their design to call them honorable and to look up to them. And people that are holding and to hold them, and some of these people that we are holding them in the highest esteem, they are also some of, if not the most bad-minded people that are on this earth breathing. And to take it a step further, you may also discover that they are the ones that are literally and otherwise contaminating the rest of humanity. The people that because they are so-called up there, considered to be below them, or we the people that they consider to be below them. Like me, you too may discover that bad mind is a top-down thing. Mother Nature shows that water flows downhill in accordance to one of her laws, called gravity. Activated common sense will also affirm that if the head of the river is dirty, aka polluted, then the dirt or pollution will flow downstream and pollute the rest of the stream. And the same is true if the head of the pyramid system is bad mind, then the bottom will also be what? Bad mind. From these basic and in our face facts, we can reasonably conclude that if or when we see an unhealthy society, if or when we see the moral and ethical decay of a society, if or when we see wickedness, wantonness, and all forms of injustices and immoralities abounding in a society, if or when we see or hear the so-called common citizens, also known as the subjects in a society, calling up down, calling bad good, calling black white, and white black, if we see the people in a society existing in a state of unhealthiness, unrest, confusion, and unhappiness, complaining, mourning, and groaning, etc., then we need not look any further than to the minds that are its masters, also known as what? Its mastermind. For it is written, yes, we need not look any further. When you see all these things, look to those that are called leaders. For it is written and spoken of by wise men and women of old, long time ago. And I quote, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn, unquote. So when you see all these things, don't blame the little guy. In fact, when I read it, I read the Adamic race history book, commonly known as the Christian Holy Bible. And back in those days, when the prophets were sent not to the little guy on the street side to try and convert, like you see some people walking around trying to convert little people. The message was sent to the leaders because it's a top-down thing. Clean up the head of the stream before you can try and clean up the bottom. But we'll get more on that another time. Remember, the masters are the seat of power. The leaders, the lawmakers, the trendsetters, they are the trendsetters, the rulers and the decision makers, etc. They are the mind, also known as the mastermind or the government, if you will. Government. They are the controllers of the mind. Government means what? Govern, control, meant from the Latin word means mind, control mind. Are they who control the people's mind. So the guys at the bottom is being fed from up there. And we the subjects, so they are the mastermind and we are their subjects. Sub mean under. The people they rule over are their servants, are their slaves, are their followers. And as the saying goes, what monkey see, monkey do. So the problem is not a bottom-up thing. It's a top-down thing. If the mastermind is sick, the subjects will also be what? Sick. Or at the very least, they will reflect the master's sickness. If the mastermind, aka the leaders, are leading righteously and justly, then the people will follow righteously and justly. But I've run out of time for this segment. So I will have much more to say on this when I revisit and share more of my perspective on the mind. Some of the symptoms of an unhealthy mind and more insight on how to identify an unhealthy mind in part 5. So please again join me then. I also humbly ask that if at all you can, that you please support this series of short presentations titled Another Perspective on Healthy Living by simply purchasing your daily supply of lignans from the Norwegian spruce tree, aka Fountain of Life. From yours truly, I, the Mystic Philosopher. How you do it? By simply clicking on the links provided in the description area below this video. You may also purchase a digital copy of my song that you hear the instrumental or the version playing in the background called Have You Heard of Fountain of Life? You do that by clicking the link by the same name in the description below. Your kind support will be greatly appreciated. In the meantime and between time, my dearly beloved, in your becoming, I will let you be more and more, and not less, aka be less. For I am the mystic philosopher. Ashe, 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 I say.